Hi, this is Habiba and welcome to another exciting segment of Viva's Canadian Journey. Thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time of joining, please don't forget to subscribe. It's very easy to do. Just hit the subscribe button and please don't forget to press the bell icon. What this does is that it gives you a notification anytime I have a new video on. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about something very important that I've titled An Immigrant's Guide to Surviving the Canadian Winter. So let's get started. Whichever province you find yourself in Canada, you are going to have to experience the Canadian winter. And for me, it's not that the Canadian winter is cold. I mean, winter is cold. It's that it is cold and very, very long. And honestly, you need some tips and tricks if you want to be able to survive it. If not, what happened to me in my first year in Canada might happen to you. And we don't want that to happen. Learn from my mistakes. So just a brief history. If you've been following me, by now you know my family and I, we migrated to Canada in September 2019. And this was just the beginning of fall, and before we knew it, winter was here. Now, if you know me, you know that I like to prepare. I like to prepare for everything. I don't like any surprises. I don't like taking anything for granted. So coming to Canada, friends had been telling me about the Canadian winter. I had been doing my own research. Okay, but I think I made a little mistake. And if I'm honest, I think the mistake I made was I assumed that the Canadian winter was kind of the same as the winter in the UK. I lived close to 10 years in the UK, and half of those 10 years I was up north in Scotland, in Aberdeen, which is one of the coldest parts of the UK. And so I thought I could bring those tips and tricks that I used back in the UK to Canada, and oh my goodness, it was an awful experience. The UK winter is no match for the Canadian winter, and for me, except you're coming from Russia or Alaska, the Canadian winter is it is no respecter of persons. So our first winter here, 2019-2020 winter, was really harsh. It was in and out of the hospital for us almost every month. If it wasn't a cough, somebody was in the house was sneezing, wheezing, catarrh, cough, and this was pre-COVID. Antibiotics here and there. In fact, we had a little medicine cabinet filled with antibiotics and all those. It was an awful experience. And I told myself, I said, towards the end of last winter, I said, God, please, you just have to help me, because we cannot go through this again. We have to. We're here to stay, so we have to enjoy this winter. So I started to do some research on how we could, what happened our first winter will not repeat itself. How would enjoy, begin to enjoy the Canadian winter. And I began to read an article online, and honestly, the title of that article it changed my thinking forever. And the title of that article was, "There's no such thing as a bad weather. There's only inappropriate clothing." I'll take it again. There's no such thing as a bad weather. There's only inappropriate clothing. Honestly, for me, it was like a light bulb moment. It was like something just went, off in my head. I was like, oh, really? So there is, surviving the winter has to do a lot with your clothing. And at the back of my mind, I thought we had, stocked up on winter clothes, winter gear. But as I continued to read the article was, explaining how to dress appropriately for winter. So number one to surviving it is the appropriate clothing. No matter how cold it gets, if you have the appropriate clothing, you will survive the Canadian winter. Now, what the article was teaching, and I'm going to share some of it with you, was just understanding the way the body works, the way God has made our body. Biology 101 or Science 101. As we know, our body emits heat. That's why during when it's hot, we want the AC on, we want something cold, we want to remove clothes, we wear like shorts and tank tops so that air can come in. You want to do the complete opposite during the winter. What you want to do during the winter is to trap the body heat so that it doesn't get released, and you have to dress that way. Now, understanding this, there's a term that also goes with the dressing. It's called layering. It's just the term is simple, just layering, as you layer something. Okay, so you want to layer the appropriate clothing on your body so that heat, your body heat is trapped and not released. Okay, and in doing so, I'm going to use an illustration. My daughter was very kind enough for me to take her pictures while she was getting dressed during the week for school, and I'm going to show you with pictures how I layer her up for school. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is you want a long sleeve top, preferably a thermal or a soft cotton top, but it should be long sleeve preferably. The reason I'm saying this is because, first of all, it should be soft because it's going to be the item closest to your body. And also, like I said, you're trying to trap the heat. So it should be long sleeve. What I used to do in the UK and what I did last year that turned out to be a disaster was that for the first item of clothing, I used to put on for my daughter and myself a tank top, with a little strap. So that means your hand, the arms are bare. Big mistake. You want to start off covering everywhere. So you're going to see that on my daughter on the screen. So if you can get a thermal, good. The second layer should also be long sleeve. Okay, so the second layer should be long sleeve, and it could be your shirt or your blouse. So if you're a guy, if you're a man, it should be your shirts. Maybe your office shirt. They're probably going to put a tie on. If you're a lady, it will be your blouse. Okay, the third layer should be a sweater. Okay, so a sweater that you can probably put on your office shirts, you can put on your blouse. A sweater is necessary. You want to really, really layer up. You want to trap the heat. You're going to see it on my daughter very quickly. Now, with this we've done three levels of layering right now. You should be fine if you're going, let's say you're going to work, you're going to the office, and then there's like heating in the office, or going to school and the heating will be on. It should be fine. Very important when it comes to layering is that your head has to be covered. Very, very important. I don't know if you remember back home, maybe like when a baby is born, they'll tell you quickly cover the baby's head, so the baby doesn't catch a cold. Covering your head is a big part of the winter. You're gonna see on my daughter, what I use for her is called a balaclava. Okay, you can use a normal winter hat, but I love this because not only does it cover the head, it covers the ear, so there's no talk of ear infection, and it comes all the way down to the neck, close to the chest. I love it very much because it's not easy to take off. So I know that, for instance, if she just wears a hat and she's playing in school, if it comes off, maybe she won't put it back on. But this balaclava is not going anywhere. It's there. It's same put. So for younger kids, I really, really would recommend this. Of course, you have your, your trousers. You can also layer it. You can wear, thermal pants under and put on your trousers. What I do for my daughter is I buy fleece-lined pants, so fleece-lined trousers, and then of course, waterproof or winter shoes, and then of course your jackets. So if you're going to be outside, whether you're just walking to the car or you're just walking, down the road, you need your jacket. You need it. Now you'll be looking at my daughter and somebody will be thinking, but Habiba, she must be hot. She's not hot. Trust me, she's warm, and that is the way it's supposed to be. She's not hot. And when you come to Canada, if you have young kids in daycare, you're going to realize that in daycare in Canada, come rain, come sunshine, come winter, come below 0 degrees, except it's really, really freezing, or except, outside is slippery, the children go out 2 to 3 times a day. They go out walking, they go out playing. It's part of the educational curriculum. When we first moved here, I was very upset. I was like, well, why would they be going out when it's cold? And the school explained to me, it's part of the educational curriculum. It's good for their, physical well-being and all of that. So, padding up, layering is very, very important. Number 2 tip, and this came from one of our many visits to the hospital during our first winter. we are what you eat. So your diet is also very important. So during one of the many visits, one of the doctors asked about my daughter's diet. So being a typical parent, I was a bit defensive. I was like, well, she has her usual, required intake of carbs, of protein, of everything. And he says, yes, he knows that, but what about her intake of vitamin C? I said, we have fruits at home. She takes, apples, bananas, and he said, it's okay. So he says, let him just tell me a bit about how we can increase vitamin C. He says, most people think it's just, citrus fruits that are high in vitamin C. And he gave me like a, real lecture. He says, tomatoes are packed with more vitamin C, much more vitamin C than the usual citrus fruits. And the big bell peppers, the sweet ones, the red peppers, green peppers, he said they are fruits actually. He said these fruits, we see them as vegetables, are packed with so much vitamin C. He says try making homemade tomato juice. It's not going to be the nicest thing or the sweetest thing, but it's really packed with vitamin C. Broccoli, spinach, so he gave me that lecture, and I was very grateful for it. When I went home, I did more research on vitamin C, and what I found online was that vitamin C is so good during the winter, all the time, and during the winter as well. What happens is that when you take vitamin C, it does not mean you're not going to get the cold, or you're not going to cough, or you're not going to sneeze, or you're not going to get catarrh. It just means that those people that take a lot of vitamin C, when they do get the cold, when they do get a flu, they recover faster. Research showed that they recover faster. So vitamin C, it's really good. So for us, we just increased the intake of vitamin C at home. I went crazy with tomatoes, with the bell peppers. Just started making tomato juice, just keeping tomatoes, around as if it was a fruit. I got the little cherry tomatoes for my daughter, so she just eats and just snacks up on them. So your diet as well during the winter, it's extremely important. Things like honey, ginger, raw honey is very good. Increase our intake of ginger and garlic. All these are said to be antioxidants, and they help with our immune system. So, the more of them, the better. Okay, so that really helped as well. Number 3, and very important, you have to be prepared. You have to know what the weather is saying. How do you do that? For me, what I do is on my phone, I have 3 weather apps. I'm not joking. I know I'm a bit extra. You probably just need 1, but I have 3 weather apps on my phone. And the location is set to where we stay, Dartmouth, and I look at them religiously. At the weekend, by the time it's Saturday or Sunday, I already know what the weather is going to be on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So I've already planned, the outfits for that. I know I'm being extra, but like I said, once bitten, twice shy. After the disaster of last winter, I'm not taking chances again. I need to know how to dress my daughter, especially when she's going for daycare. My husband has turned me to the weather girl right now. He's going out, he's like, what's the weather saying? Because I just have to know what the weather is saying. And you really have to know what the weather is saying, because you can wake up in the morning and you can see the sun and you think to yourself, oh, it's going to be a warm sunny day today. You'll be shocked. In fact, there's a joke in Nova Scotia that you can have 4 seasons in one day here in Nova Scotia. And it's true. You can wake up, the sun will be out, you go outside, and then it might be a bit warm. Before you know it, a couple of hours later, it's cloudy and it's going to rain. Closer to the evening time, from nowhere, it's just going to start snowing. And if you don't know what the day holds weather-wise, you're not going to be dressed appropriately, and everything is just going to take you by surprise. And that happens when you're not prepared. So you need to know what the weather is saying. Very, very important. So for us, these 3 things really, really helped, and we had a much better winter this year. Honestly, I don't play down God's mercies, God's grace, God's protection. I don't. okay? But we need to play our own part. You need to dress properly. You need to take the right, vitamins. Your diet needs to be a healthy diet. You need to know what the weather is saying. So these things are very important, and they helped us this year. This winter was amazing. It was amazing, and I'm looking forward to, other winters by God's grace. So real quick, I want to share with you how you can get cheap winter clothes in Canada. Now, I'm going to tell you firsthand, winter clothes are not cheap. Okay, let's even say you're shopping for a child that goes to school. You need the play suit, a complete winter snow suit, So that's the jacket and the snow pants. They usually come in a set. On average, you can find it in a normal children's store, Carter's, for about $125. That's the regular price. Now, this is the price before the accessories, the balaclava, the winter boots, the gloves. So by the time you bought everything, you probably bought, for one set, you probably spent about 200 Canadian dollars. And you probably need a couple of, pair of gloves, a couple of hats. It's quite expensive. Okay, but what I discovered last year is that, and I discovered this in February last year or March last year, that by the time winter is over, winter clothes become cheap. So the best time to purchase winter clothes is not in October or November, just before winter. It's immediately after winter. Because what happens is that the stores are trying to get rid of winter outfits, because right now the stores have spring and summer clothing. So they want to get rid of winter outfits. And at this point in time, people are not really thinking winter anymore. People are thinking spring and summer. How do I buy spring and summer clothes? So the law of supply and demand. Okay, so right now, a child suit, play snow suit in Carter's that was usually $125 is about $55 right now, less than half price. So what I did last year, by March, I had stocked up winter outfits for my daughter. Obviously, with children, you buy a size or two above what they are right now. But the same with adults. You don't wait till winter to buy your winter. You're going to spend a lot. You start buying it in the end of winter, early spring. The stores are clearing them up. You're going to get a good deal. And this really, really helped us last year. Okay, so I hope you'll be able to learn from my mistake, so you don't even make my mistake at all. You just come to Canada and enjoy the Canadian winter. I hope you found this really helpful, and until next time, do take care. Hi, my name is Habiba, and